The dust swirled through the main street of Copper Creek as the morning sun cast long shadows between the weathered buildings. The year was 1876, and this small Texas frontier town existed in the fragile space between civilization and wilderness. Adobe buildings lined the dirt road, the walls still cool from the night's chill, while the smell of wood smoke and coffee drifted from the saloon and general store. Joseph, standing there, moved through this hostile landscape like a ghost among the living. His Comanche heritage was written in every line of his face, the high cheekbones, the deep brown eyes that seemed to hold both wisdom and pain, the long black hair he kept braided down his back. But it was more than his appearance that marked him as different. It was the way conversation stopped when he approached. Our mothers pulled their children closer. A grown man spat into the dirt as he passed. There goes that savage again, muttered Ben Crawford, the blacksmith, not bothering to lower his voice as Joseph walked past his shop. The rhythmic hammering of metal stopped, replaced by a silence that felt heavier than the humid Texas air. Joseph kept his eyes forward, his moccasined feet making no sound on the packed earth. He'd learned long ago that responding only made things worse. His father had been a respected Comanche warrior, but those days were dying with the buffalo herds. Now Joseph found himself caught between two worlds, no longer fully accepted by his own people who had moved to the reservation, yet forever an outsider in the white settlements where he tried to make his living as a scout and occasional ranch hand. At the barber shop, old Pete Wilson emerged with his straight razor still gleaming in his hand. "Heard tell the army's looking for another guide," he called out, his voice dripping with false friendliness. "Of course, they probably want someone they can trust not to lead them into an ambush." The four men gathered around the barber chuckled, but their laughter held an edge of genuine fear. Joseph understood that fear. It was born from stories told around campfires, from newspaper accounts of raids and battles, from a history written in blood on both sides. But understanding it didn't make it hurt any less. Joseph's destination was the livery stable at the end of town, where he worked when Sam Morrison would hire him. The work was honest, mucking stalls, feeding horses, mending tack, but it was also intermittent. Too many customers complained about having an Indian handle their animals, worried he might steal them, or worse. "You're late," Morrison said without looking up from the harness he was repairing. Morrison was a fair man by the standards of the time, but fairness didn't extend to warmth. "The cavalry horses need shoes checked," Morrison continued, gesturing toward three bare geldings in the corner stalls, "and that Morgan mare has been favoring her left front." Joseph nodded and got to work. His hands, calloused from years of labor, moved with practiced efficiency as he examined each hoof. He had a gift with animals. Horses responded to his calm presence, sensing something in him that humans seemed unable or unwilling to see. As he worked, voices drifted in from the street. A group of cowboys had gathered near the saloon, their voices growing louder with each shared drink, despite the early hour. "I heard tell there's been cattle missing from the Henderson spread," one voice said. "It wouldn't surprise me none if certain folks around here knew something about it," another replied. Joseph's hands stilled on Morgan's hoof. He recognized the tone, the careful way they avoided saying his name while making their meaning clear. In a town this size, suspicion fell quickly, and it always seemed to land on the person who looked different, who stood apart. The mare whinnied softly, sensing his tension. Joseph forced himself to breathe slowly, to let his shoulders relax. These animals didn't deserve to suffer for human cruelty. His voice gentle as he examined the slight swelling in her fat neck. "Just needs rest and a poultice. We'll be running free again soon." He'll die, but even as he spoke to the horse, Joseph wondered if he would ever run free himself. In this place, among these people, he was forever marked as other, forever suspected, forever alone. The sun climbed higher, promising another scorching day in the Texas wilderness. And Joseph, standing there, son of warriors, continued his quiet work among the horses, enduring each slight and insult with the stoic dignity ranches and farms, their wheels creaking under loads of produce, leather goods, and homemade preserves. The air filled with the sounds of commerce, farmers calling out prices, children laughing as they chased chickens that had escaped their crates, and a constant hum of negotiation and gossip. Joseph, standing there, walked through this controlled chaos with careful steps, his leather pouch containing the few coins Morrison had paid him for the week's work. He needed coffee and beans, maybe some tobacco if he could afford it. But more than supplies, he needed to feel like he belonged somewhere, even if that feeling lasted only as long as it took to complete a transaction. The general store stood at the heart of the market square, its wide porch offering shade for those waiting their turn inside. Martha Wellington, the proprietor's wife, stood behind the wooden counter like a fortress commander, her grey hair pulled back in a severe bun that matched her stern expression. "What do you want?" she asked when Joseph approached, her voice carrying the weariness of someone forced to tolerate what she could not approve. "Coffee, beans, and salt," Joseph replied quietly, placing his coins on the scarred wooden surface. Martha's eyes counted the money twice before gathering the items with grudging efficiency. As she worked, other customers entered the store, branch hands from the Circle T, their spurs jingling against the plank floor, and Mrs. Henderson with her twin daughters, their Sunday dresses already wilting in the heat. "I heard there's been more trouble with rustlers," Mrs. Henderson said, her voice pitched just loud enough for everyone to hear. "Sheriff thinks it might be someone local, someone who knows the land real well." The words hung in the air like smoke from a poorly tended fire. Joseph felt the familiar weight of suspicious eyes as he waited for Martha to finish filling his order. In the silence, even the flies buzzing around the cooking seemed loud. That's when she walked in, swell. Elizabeth Libby Harrison moved with the confident stride of someone who had worked alongside me all her life. At 28, she managed her deceased father's freight business, hauling supplies between towns in a heavily loaded wagon that she drove herself. Her dark hair was pinned back practically rather than fashionably, and her simple brown dress bore the honest dust of the road. "Afternoon, Martha," Libby said, her voice warm but businesslike. "I need supplies for the run to San Antonio." Martha's demeanor shifted immediately, becoming more deferential. The Harrison freight business brought real money to Copper Creek. "Of course, Miss Harrison. What can I get for you?" As Martha bustled about filling Libby's substantial order, Joseph found himself stealing glances at this woman who commanded such different treatment. There was something in her bearing, a quiet strength that reminded him of the Comanche women he'd known. His grandmother, his aunts, who could be gentle with children one moment and fierce as storm winds the next. Libby noticed him watching and met his eyes without flinching. Most people looked away quickly, uncomfortable with direct contact, but her gaze held steady, curious rather than hostile. "You work at Morrison's stable," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, ma'am. You're the one who handled my team last month when I had the lame horse. Good work." She's been sound ever since. The simple acknowledgement hit Joseph like a physical blow. When had anyone last complimented his work? When had anyone spoken to him as if he were simply another person trying to make an honest living? "Thank you," he managed. Martha finished with Joseph's smaller order first, wrapping his items in brown paper with obvious haste. As he gathered his purchases, he became aware of a commotion brewing outside. Voices were rising, and through the store's front window, he could see a crowd gathering in the market square. "What's all that noise about?" Martha asked, craning her neck to see. Young Tommy Crawford burst through the door, his face flushed with excitement and malice. "It's him!" He pointed directly at Joseph. "Sheriff wants to see you right now about the missing cattle." The words hit the store like a lightning strike. Martha stepped back as if Joseph as deep as the water table. Being accused was often the same as being convicted. "I haven't stolen any cattle," he said quietly, but his words seemed to echo meaninglessly in the sudden silence. "Of course you'd say that," Tommy sneered. "Sheriff's got questions, and you better come answer them." As Joseph moved toward the door, the crowd outside parted like water, creating a clear path that felt more like a gauntlet. He could see Sheriff Hendricks waiting near the hitching post, his weathered face grim with the weight of a job he'd never wanted. Behind him stood Bill Crawford, Pete Wilson, and a half-dozen other men, whose names Joseph knew but who had never bothered to learn his. It was then, in that moment when the entire town seemed poised to pass judgment, that Elizabeth Harrison did something that would be talked about for years to come. She stepped out of the store behind him, her boot heels clicking decisively on the wooden porch. Without hesitation, without looking to see who was watching, she reached out and took Joseph's hand in hers. The effect was electric. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Children stopped running. Even the horses seemed to sense that something momentous was happening. "Sheriff Hendricks," Libby said, her voice carrying clearly across the square, her fingers still intertwined with Joseph's. "I hope you have more evidence than suspicion. Mr. Standing Bear was helping me with my freight wagon when those cattle were missing. He was with me most of that day." The line came so smooth, so confidently, that for a moment even Joseph believed it. But he could feel the slight tremor in her fingers, the only sign that this act of courage was costing her something. Sheriff Hendricks looked confused, glancing between the unlikely pair and the expectant crowd. "Miss Harrison, are you certain about that timing?" "Absolutely certain, Sheriff. I keep detailed records of my business dealings." In that moment, with her hand in his and her voice defending his honor, Joseph Standing Bear felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Hope, but he also understood the price they would both pay for this public stand. In a town where reputation was currency, Libby Harrison had just spent everything she had to buy him a moment of dignity. The crowd began to murmur and shift, uncertain now. If Miss Harrison vouched for the Indian, if she was willing to stake her reputation on his innocence, maybe they'd been too quick to judge. But Joseph knew this was only the beginning. The real test would come in the days ahead, when the shock wore off, and the implications of what had just happened began to sink in. Some would call her a fool, others would call her worse. As the sheriff reluctantly dismissed the crowd, and people began to drift away, Libby finally released Joseph's hand. But the warmth of her touch lingered, and with it, the dangerous possibility that in this harsh place, two lonely souls might have found something worth fighting for. The days following the market incident moved like a slow-burning fuse through Copper Creek. News traveled fast in a town where everyone knew everyone else's business, and Elizabeth Harrison's public defense of Joseph Standing Bear became the subject of whispered conversations and heated debates in every establishment, from the saloon to the church. Joseph felt the change immediately. Where before he'd faced casual hostility and suspicious glances, now there was something harder, a focused resentment that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up whenever he walked down Main Street. The men who gathered outside the barber shop no longer just ignored him. They watched him with the intensity of hawks circling prey. "Heard tell Miss Harrison's taken up with that savage," they heard Pete Wilson say to Bill Crawford as he passed the blacksmith shop 3 days after market day. "Shame what's happened to that girl," Crawford replied, his hammer ringing against hot iron with unnecessary force. "Her daddy would be rolling in his grave." But Morrison stated the tension was thick as summer humidity. Sam Morrison had always been fair in his dealings, but now Joseph could see the warning eyes deepening around the old man's eyes. "Folks are talking," Morrison said without preamble as Joseph arrived for work that morning. "About you, Miss Harrison." Joseph said nothing, focusing instead on measuring oats for the cavalry horses. What could he say that nothing had happened between them? That would be true, but it would sound like a lie. That something had happened, that would be dangerous for both of them. "She's a good Copper Creek's dusty streets. When their paths crossed, she would nod politely, the same greeting she might offer any acquaintance. But Joseph caught her watching him sometimes, her dark eyes holding questions she couldn't voice in public. The pressure was building on her, too. Joseph could see it in the way Martha Wellington's service had grown colder, how conversations stopped when Libby entered the general store, how even the preacher's wife had begun crossing the street to avoid direct encounters. It came to a head on Thursday evening. Joseph was finishing his work at the stable when he heard the commotion outside, angry voices and the sound of something heavy hitting the ground. He stepped into the doorway to see a group of men surrounding Libby Harrison, who stood beside her overturned freight wagon, its contents scattered across the road. "Clumsy of you to tip your wagon like that, Miss Harrison," Bill Crawford was saying, his voice thick with false sympathy. "Of course, maybe you've been distracted lately, got your mind on other things. Or other people," added Wilson, spitting tobacco juice dangerously close to Libby's boots. Libby's face was pale but determined. "Just an accident, gentlemen. I can manage fine on my own." "And Reed, don't look like you're managing too well," another voice called from the crowd that was gathering. "Maybe you need better help than what you've been getting." Joseph felt something break inside his chest. He'd spent years accepting insults and hatred directed at him. But watching these men humiliate a woman for the crime of treating him with basic human decency was more than he could bear. He stepped into the street. "The lady said she can manage," he said quietly, but his voice carried clearly in the evening air. The crowd turned as one, their faces shifting from cruel amusement to something darker. Crawford stepped forward, his massive frame casting a long shadow in the dying light. "This ain't your concern, Indian. Someone treating me with kindness makes it my concern." For a moment, Joseph thought Crawford might actually strike him. The blacksmith's hands clenched into fists, and the crowd seemed to lean forward in anticipation. But then, Sheriff Hendricks appeared at the edge of the group, his presence like cold water on a fire. "All right, break it up," Hendricks said wearily. "Miss Harrison, you need help getting your wagon upright." "I can handle it," Libby said, but her voice shook slightly. Without waiting for permission or protest, Joseph moved to the overturned wagon. It was heavy, loaded with supplies for her next freight run, but anger gave him strength. He positioned himself at the wheel and began to lift. After a moment's hesitation, Sheriff Hendricks grabbed the other side. "Come on then." Together, they righted the wagon with a grunt of effort. Joseph began gathering the scattered supplies, sacks of flour, canned goods, a broken crate that had spilled nails across the ground like silver tears. "Thank you," Libby said quietly as he loaded the last of the undamaged goods. Their hands brushed as she took the reins, and Joseph felt the same electric connection he'd experienced in the market. But this time, there was something else. A shared understanding of the price they were both paying for this simple human connection. "Miss Harrison," Crawford came out as she prepared to drive away, "you might want to think carefully of the company you keep. This town's got a long memory." Libby turned in her seat, and when she spoke, her voice carried the steel that had made her father successful in the freight business. "Mr. Crawford, I've been thinking very carefully about the company I keep and the company I don't." She clicked to her horses and drove away, leaving behind a street full of men whose threats had been met with quiet dignity. As the crowd dispersed, Joseph found himself alone with Sheriff Hendricks, who was studying him with tired eyes. "You know this can't end well," the sheriff said. "Probably not. She's a good woman, doesn't deserve what's coming." Joseph met the sheriff's gaze steadily. "What's coming is people showing their true nature. That's not her fault, and it's not mine." Hendricks was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Maybe you're right, but being right don't make the consequences any easier to bear." That night, Joseph sat outside his small cabin on the edge of town, watching stars emerge in the darkness. extraordinary bravery. It was a beautiful dream, even if he knew it might be hard. 2 weeks passed like a slow drought, each day bringing new pressure and fresh hostility. Joseph had been quietly let go from Morrison's stable after several customers threatened to take their business elsewhere. Libby's freight contracts had mysteriously begun drying up, with long-time clients citing concerns about reliability. The town was systematically trying to starve them both out, hoping that economic pressure would succeed where social ostracism had failed. But neither of them broke. Joseph found work helping Mexican families on the outskirts of town, people who understood what it meant to be unwelcome in a place they called home. Libby took on longer freight runs, traveling to distant towns where her reputation hadn't yet been poisoned by Copper Creek's whispered stories. It was on one of these distant runs that fate finally played its hand. Libby was returning from El Paso on a scorching Saturday afternoon, her wagon loaded with supplies for the general store, when she spotted a dust cloud on the horizon. Living on the frontier meant reading such signs like scripture. Dust meant riders, and riders could mean trouble. As the cloud grew larger, she could make out shapes, cattle, lots of them, being driven hard by men on horseback. Her blood ran cold as she recognized the brand. These were the Henderson cattle that had gone missing weeks earlier, the theft that had nearly seen Joseph lynched by an angry mob. The riders hadn't seen her yet, hidden as she was by a cluster of mesquite trees. Libby had 2 choices. She could quietly turn around and pretend she'd seen nothing, or she could follow at a distance and see where these stolen cattle were headed. The choice, when it came, wasn't really a choice at all. She followed the dust for an hour, staying well back, until the rustlers drove the herd into a hidden canyon about 10 miles northeast of town. From a ridge overlooking the canyon, she could see a rough camp, stolen cattle from several different ranches, a temporary corral built from brush and rope, and 4 men she recognized as drifters who had been hanging around Copper Creek Saloon for the past month. One of them was Tommy Crawford, Bill Crawford's youngest son. Libby felt her stomach drop. The blacksmith's boy, the same kid who'd been so eager to see Joseph accused, was working with actual cattle thieves. The irony was bitter as desert sage. By the time she made it back to Copper Creek, the sun was setting and the town was settling into its evening routine. She found Sheriff Hendricks sitting on his porch, nursing a cup of coffee and watching the last of the day's traffic pass by. "Sheriff," she called, reining in her tired horses, "I need to speak with you. It's about those missing cattle." Hendricks looked up, his weathered face showing interest for the first time in weeks. "What about them? I know where they are, and I know who took them." 20 minutes later, a hastily assembled posse was riding out of town. Sheriff Hendricks led the group, followed by Libby in her wagon, 3 deputy volunteers, and, to everyone's surprise, Joseph standing there. "We need someone who can track in the dark," Hendricks had explained when several of the men objected to Joseph's inclusion. "And like it or not, he's the best tracker in 3 counties." Bill Crawford rode with them too, his face grim, when Hendricks quietly told him about his son's involvement. They reached the hidden canyon near midnight, approaching carefully in the moonlight. Joseph scouted ahead, moving like a shadow among the rocks, and confirmed what Libby had seen. The rustlers were still there, probably planning to move the cattle at dawn. The confrontation was brief, but decisive. Caught by surprise in their sleep, the 4 rustlers surrendered without firing a shot. Tommy Crawford broke down crying when he saw his father among the posse, confessing everything in a flood of tears and terror. "We were just supposed to take a few men out," he said. "Nothing bad. Jake said nobody would miss them. Said we could blame it on the Comanches if anyone came looking." Bill Crawford's face went white in the moonlight. "You were going to let an innocent man hang for your crimes." The words hung in the desert air like an accusation against the entire town. Every man in that posse had been ready to see Joseph lynched based on nothing more than suspicion and prejudice. Now they stood facing the truth. They had almost murdered an innocent man while the real thieves lived among them. Sheriff Hendricks arrested process of sorting out which cattle belonged to which ranches. As dawn broke over the desert, the posse began the long drive back to Copper Creek, pushing nearly 100 head of recovered livestock. Joseph rode point, guiding the herd with the skill his father had taught him. Behind him, he could hear conversations gradually starting up as the reality of the situation sank in. They had been wrong, not just mistaken, but terribly, dangerously wrong. The return to Copper Creek became a parade of sorts. Word had spread about the recovery of the stolen cattle and the arrest of the real thieves. People lined Main Street to watch the herd pass by, their faces showing a mixture of relief, embarrassment, and grudging respect. Joseph felt their eyes on him, but this time the attention felt different. For the first time in his life in this town, he wasn't being watched with suspicion or hatred. Some of the faces showed shame, others showed something that might almost be admiration. As they penned the cattle in the town corrals, Bill Crawford approached Joseph with slow, heavy steps. The big blacksmith looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. "I owe you an apology," Crawford said, his voice rough with emotion. "We all do. You could have let my boy hang for what he'd done, could have let us all stew in our own ignorance. Instead, we rode out to help catch the real thieves." Joseph studied the man who had been one of his most vocal enemies. "Your son made a mistake. We all make mistakes. Some mistakes nearly cost innocent lives," Crawford replied. "I won't forget that, and I won't forget who had the character to help him." As the morning progressed, other townspeople approached Joseph with similar words. Martha Remington offered him coffee in the house. Pete Wilson mentioned that he could use help around the barbershop if Joseph was interested. Sam Morrison asked if he would consider coming back to work at the stable. Several customers had specifically requested him after hearing about his role in recovering their livestock. But it was Elizabeth Harrison who approached him last, as the excitement died down and the town began returning to its normal rhythms. "Thank you," she said simply. "For what? For proving that taking someone's hand was the right thing to do." They stood together in the morning sun, two people who had found something precious in the most unlikely place. The town around them was slowly changing, learning to see past prejudice and fear to the person beneath. It wouldn't happen overnight. Change never did in places like Copper Creek, but it was the beginning. Joseph looked out at the desert beyond the town, remembering all the times he'd thought about leaving this place, about finding somewhere he might be accepted for who he was, rather than judged for what he looked like. Now, for the first time, he thought maybe he'd already found it. "The offer still stands," Libby said quietly. "I could use a partner in the freight business, someone who knows the land and can handle trouble." Joseph turned to look at her, this remarkable woman who risked everything for a stranger's dignity. That might cause talk. Libby smiled, and in that smile was all the courage that had first drawn him to her. "Let them talk, we've got work to do." As the sun climbed higher into the Texas sky, Joseph, standing there, walked alongside Elizabeth Harrison toward the freight office, ready to begin building something new in a place that was finally learning to see him as he truly was. Not a savage or an outsider, but a man worthy of respect, partnership, and perhaps even love. Behind them, Copper Creek continued its daily business, forever changed by the lesson that sometimes the greatest act of courage is simply taking someone's hand and refusing to let go.